For those of you that don't know me, my name is Joe, and I'm going to be talking to you today about RFID technology and the implications of using it in the event industry. I'm going to be primarily discussing within the context of music festivals, however findings can be applied to other events. This presentation will briefly explain what RFID technology is and how it works, where it's currently being used and how it's being implemented, and what are the implications for us as event organisers and managers of using this technology. RFID stands for Radio Frequency Identification. It's a wireless, non-contact system of transmitting data. RFID uses radio frequencies to transmit data between an RFID chip, commonly known as a tag, and an RFID reader. This is then fed into a computer which can process the data. A small passive RFID tags do not require battery, but instead use electromagnetic fields that are transmitted from the reader as its power source. So a basic setup consists of an RFID tag, a reader and a computer. The reader emits radio waves in ranges from anywhere from 1 inch to 100 feet or more. Depends on the power output. When an RFID tag passes through this electromagnetic zone, it detects the activation signal, and the reader decodes the data encoded on the integrated circuit, and the data is passed to the host computer for processing. A passive RFID tag can be as small as 2 mm in diameter and can be read from up to 6 meters away, depending on the reader. Unlike barcodes, they do not need line of sight and can be integrated into almost anything, from lanyards to wristbands to clothing to even people. An RFID reader can discriminate between several tags at any one time, and the read time is about 100 milliseconds. A typical tag can hold 2 kilobytes of data. RFID technology is widely used in many industries. Within transport, RFID smart cards are used in ticket systems all over the world, including many that we will be familiar with, the Oyster card system in London. In Hong Kong, they have a similar system since 1997 called the Octopus card. There are approximately 11 million transactions made every day with an Octopus card, and not just on their public transport system. They use them in supermarkets, fast food restaurants, parking meters, and even vending machines. This technology has been used in passports since 2006, storing your biometric and travel history data. Retailers such as Tesco, Best Buy and Walmart use RFID to track products and deliveries to improve their supply chain efficiency. In manufacturing, it is used to track parts and manage the production process of different parts of the same product. RFID is used within security and access control for buildings or specific areas. Unlike the magnetic strips we use on our LIPA cards, RFID requires no contact with the card and the reader, which results in less wear and tear and therefore less maintenance. One of the first uses of this technology was within livestock to manage vaccinations and animal welfare. Now, as you can see, this technology has been used in many industries since the 90s. However, the live event industry has been very slow to take on this technology. This was largely down to high costs and not being able to optimise from the long-term benefits. However, as RFID technology has evolved, it's become less expensive and more robust, with new applications constantly being developed. Having to wear a wristband to gain entry to an event, such as a music festival, has become the norm for a number of years. 2011 saw RFID being integrated onto wristbands at music festivals on a large scale for the first time, with an incredibly high success rate. RFID is likely to soon become commonplace in music festivals and events, and will change the way we purchase tickets, experience events, and combine the live experience with our digital networks. I'm now going to discuss how this might change our experience at events. The normal method of purchasing a ticket, either from a shop or a website such as C-Tickets, is evolving. With RFID, wristbands can be sent out in advance, eliminating the need for paper tickets. Traditionally, wristbands were exchanged at event to reduce the chances of counterfeits being produced. However, with RFID, this is eliminated. RFID wristbands allow the ticket holder to upload their social networking details onto their wristband. Software is now being developed so that now, when you purchase a wristband for an event, you can purchase it directly through your Facebook account, which registers details for you. At the same time, when you purchase your wristband, credit can be added to spend on food and drink in a similar way to Hong Kong's Octopus system. reducing the need to bring cash to an event. Your wristband is sent out in advance, with the data on the wristband fully encrypted, meaning counterfeit wristbands are eliminated. At its core, RFID wristbands allow for access control to the festival. By using entry gates that are designed to read RFID wristbands, they can allow for quick and easy access to a festival, and provide restricted access control to parts of the festival, such as VIP areas or production areas. By sending out the wristband in advance, the festival goer does not have to queue to exchange their wristband with their ticket for a wristband, reducing their queuing times and eliminating the need for ticket takers on the gates. With RFID readers being able to read and confirm a person's accreditation within 100 milliseconds, they are considerably quicker than a person checking the authenticity of a wristband. Using a traffic light system on the entry terminals, it can provide quick and clear indication to the steward to allow entry, or these can be combined with turnstile designs, similar to football stadiums. Gate staff do not need to check the fit of the wristband, as it will most likely contain credit, and therefore reduces the chance of wristbands being passed around. Encrypted data reduces the chance of touting and eliminates counterfeit wristbands. For the festival management, it can provide crucial real-time data of festival attendance to allow safe and secure crowd flow, gaining complete control of your ticket inventory. By paying for food and drink on your wristband that is preloaded with credit, means faster transaction times. Reduces the need and the amount of cash that a festival goer has to bring to a festival, reduces the chance of pickpocketing and robbery. Credit can be topped up at an event using debit and credit cards. For the festival management, it provides a highly secure, quick method of payment with increased average spend times. This system allows for real-time tracking of sales for improved stock control for bars. Transparency on every transaction reduces the chance of theft by bar staff, and on-site offers can be implemented at short notice and can be integrated with brand partners, creating seamless promotional opportunities. Using a cashless payment can vastly reduce your cash handling on site. A music festival of 20,000 people, say, can take £500,000 a day on their bars. Counting and securing this level of cash in a field comes at significant costs. The integration of social media onto a festival goer's wristband can combine their real-world experience with their digital networks. A festival goer can automatically check in using specially designed terminals by simply holding their wristband to a terminal. This can be activated when they arrive at the festival or when they arrive at a particular stage or arena. For the festival promoter, it allows them to track user interaction with the festival, provides detailed analytics of their audience members, and adds a measurable value to that interaction. Organisers are able to connect directly via social media before, during, and after the event. Your audience will become event ambassadors for your festival. At this year's Coachella Festival in California, all 75,000 wristbands use RFID technology for access control and cashless payments. Of the 75,000 festival goers, 30,000 of them chose to upload their Facebook accounts. Using check-in and status update terminals, this reached an estimated online audience of over 30 million people. The presence of brands at festivals is a mainstay and provides an important revenue stream for music festivals. Connecting a festival goer's digital world with their real-life experiences, like terminals, can be placed next to a sponsor's activation. This creates a permanent, long-lasting digital connection between a brand and a music festival's audience, making sponsorship of these events much more attractive. This measurable connection provides detailed analytics of your audience, provides brand exposure and return on investment. Return on investment within sponsorship has been a contentious issue for a number of years. There are so many ways to measure a brand's exposure. If an event is attended by 100,000 people, has the brand engaged with 100,000 people? And what does it mean to engage? With event sponsorship moving towards experiential and interaction as opposed to traditions of signage, RFID wristbands allows a brand to observe and analyse how much an audience is engaging with the festival. RFID wristbands allow for complete control of secured areas that can be placed on time restrictions to reduce employees abusing their wristband. For high-risk areas such as VIP areas, stages and working areas, Photo IDs can be used with handheld readers. With real-time monitoring of staff, festival management can dramatically improve the security response times and aid the direction of manpower. Now, you may be thinking, what's the issue? There's less queuing, there's higher efficiencies, there's reduced costs, and there's reduced crime. Well, within every interaction, your RFID wristband tells the festival promoter more about you. The following information was taken from a Facebook profile of a person in this room. See if you can recognise it. When you buy a ticket today, you pass on your name, your email address, your mobile phone number, your address, and possibly your gender. But by allowing them access to your Facebook, they have the potential access to your education, your location, your date of birth, your workplace, your favourite music, movies, television, even what football teams you support, what celebrities you admire, what bars you like, nightclubs you like to drink in, and any special interests. Your time at the festival can provide a promoter with details such as what you like to drink, how much you can drink, what food you ate, what bands you watched, what time you arrived, what time you left, how much you engaged with the festival. The combination of these three data capturing processes can provide a promoter or an affiliated marketing agency with a huge level of data. Personal data has almost become a type of currency on the internet, as it has a considerable value to internet companies. Facebook analyses your interactions, including your location, your gender and date of birth, to allow them to target specific adverts at you. Google analyses your usage, be it on their search engine, or Gmail, YouTube, or internet browser, to build a profile of your interests and to allow adverts to be specifically targeted. Google even accessed and analysed the content of your emails to allow for more targeted advertising. Things such as cookies are small files that are stored by your web browser when you visit certain websites. These cookies remember who you are and your settings, so the information remains the same every time you visit. All search engines create logs which keep a record of your interactions, similarly to a receipt when you go to a shop. Are they allowed to? Well, yes, they are. The main piece of legislation that protects our data is the 1998 Data Protection Act. At the heart of this Act is what is known as the Data Protection Principles. These principles state that anyone collecting personal data must fairly and lawfully process it for limited or specifically stated purposes, use the information in a way that is adequate, relevant and not excessive, use information accurately, keep the information for no longer than is absolutely necessary, process the information in accordance with your legal rights, keep the information secure, and never transfer the information outside the UK without adequate protection. Now, interpretations of these principles can be broad and doesn't dictate what companies do with your data. One part of the Data Protection Act that aims to promote transparency and protect personal data is that if any person believes a company has data on them, you can ask them and they must legally give it to you. Some of the large web companies responded well to consumer pressure to make data more easily recoverable. Google offers immediate access to all the data it holds on you. However, companies such as Facebook will only send users data upon request, and it can take up to 3 months to recover all the information. This shows that some larger companies are becoming more transparent, albeit slowly. It's not all bad. By being able to capture our data, it allows Google's search results to be quicker, more efficient and more accurate. By Facebook showing us ads, it keeps the service free, which now costs over £1 billion a year to run. Google partnered up with the Citizens Advice Bureau to create a huge marketing campaign called Good to Know, which explains staying safe online, your data on the web, your data on Google, and how to manage your data. I believe this was a very positive move, with the campaign being rolled out across Europe in the autumn, with the advertising spend going into the tens of millions of dollars. At the core of Google's Good to Know campaign is their privacy principles. These 5 principles dictate their attitude towards privacy on the internet. Google states that they will use your information to provide users with valuable products and services, develop products that reflect strong privacy standards and practices, make the collection of personal information transparent, give users meaningful choices to protect privacy, be a responsible steward of the information that they hold. Now, these may sound more like a company mission statement than any sort of privacy policy, but to me they're clearer and easier to understand than that of the data protection principles. I believe their method of delivery is as important as their method. Using simple terms, phrases and media such as video, Google's approach is simple and aims to promote a better understanding. A polar opposite to this is the Information Commissioner's Office, which is the independent authority set up to uphold information rights in the public interest, promoting openness by public bodies and data privacy for individuals, uses language like this, which says, where personal data is collected, the data controller should consider the extent to which that data can be effectively processed anonymously. This is likely to be particularly relevant where the data is to be processed for the purpose other than the provision of the service directly requested by the user, which to me makes absolutely no sense. This was found in the introduction paragraph on cookies. Similarly, Google's approach was more like this. A cookie is a small file stored by your web browser. It looks like a lot of numbers and letters. A cookie records your user preferences. For example, at Google, we use them to remember what language you want the responses in. A clearly very different approach. But what are the smaller companies, and what do they do with our data? Should we not be told when our data is being exploited? We give smaller companies access to our data all the time. On apps such as social media platforms like games, which analyse your profile once you give them access. This includes apps on all of our phones. It's easier to put pressure on larger companies who we know collect our data, such as Google and Facebook. But there are many third-party organisations that collect and analyse our personal information. The opportunities that RFID provides for active tracking of users' interactions, purchasing and movements are massive. Transport for London's Oyster card permanently disassociates your travel data with your Oyster card every 8 weeks, but instead uses the data anonymously for research purposes and does not build profiles of individuals. But with RFID tags already being integrated into mobile phones, should we be made more aware of what this means for our personal data? I think using RFID technology within the event industry is a positive move. It promotes efficiencies, health and safety, security, and provides a tool to bring our real-world experience to the digital age. In today's world, our data is being used every day for services that we most likely never pay for, but we can't live without, such as Google and Facebook. And we should accept that this is part of living in the 21st century. However, we need to be more open and transparent with what we aim to do with people's data. Google's new privacy policy that came in from the 1st of March will track what you search for and how you use their products across all of their platforms, from Google+, Google, Gmail and YouTube. This was, however, introduced with clearer privacy controls that aim to make it easier for the user to understand and change their own settings. I think this was another positive move from the internet giant and shows a move towards becoming more transparent. Tim Berners-Lee, the father of the World Wide Web, has called on users to demand their data. Individuals have yet to understand the value of their personal data and criticise companies such as Apple for their closed-world apps and that cannot be indexed by search engines. Responding to criticisms of RFID being used in ways you might associate with George Orwell's 1984, the leading manufacturers of RFID wristbands, Intellytics, insist this is not Big Brother. They do not track your whereabouts around the festival. However, this is more their decision and well within the realm of RFID possibilities. They argue that people choose to put their social networking details onto the wristband, and that people opt in to share data with sponsors and brands. But are festival goers really being told that by liking something in a field, they are giving away some of their very own personal data? Coachella's information and ticketing web pages make no reference to any social media tracking or audience analytics that may be used. The possibilities of RFID technology are limitless, and with technology being implemented into mobile phones, it is likely to be here to stay. For us, as arts managers, we need to become more open and transparent with what we intend to do with our audience's data. If anyone's got any questions.
Joe. Danny?
Is there not a threat that people can sort of come up to you with a portable reader and steal your data? But read or saw something in the news a little while ago that people with their Barclays cards now, the ones that just touch anything, are getting their money robbed, striking their account by people on the street, just going up to their back pocket.
Yeah, in the cases of music festivals, each event has its own encryption. So the person would have to know how the data's been encrypted in the first place. So potentially that could happen and has happened, and there's been lots of attempts by Oyster cards, people can clone them. But in terms of the event industry, it's less likely to happen because it's unique to every event.
Question, Tom?
Is this a solution to secondary ticketing then? Is this, if this was implemented in every case of theatre events, would that be secondary ticketing over until someone finds a way around it?
Sorry,
The question is this a solution to secondary ticketing, by which Tom means, I think, touting? Yeah. So that because everybody's got a unique identifier, which at the moment can't be made fraudulently, does it stop the problem of buying one and selling on, given that it's got all your identification and everything on it, etc.? Yeah,
it's kind of been held as there will be no more secondary ticketing, and you have to go back to the festival purely because you're less likely to tout because you probably have £200–300 on credit on your wristband, so you won't really believe if you get a tout outside of a festival trying to sell it to you. And yeah, counterfeit ticketing is another big thing, especially when you buy stuff online now. And this is completely eliminated because it's a digital code and you can't copy it, basically.
Right. Reece,
my question was, you mentioned before about the Data Protection Act and kind of the responsibility of persons in possession of that information to not keep the information more than is absolutely necessary. Who defines or who decides how long that period of time is?
That's one of the issues with the Data Protection Act. If you can, as a company, if I can justify my income sources by selling you advertising with your data, then I can keep it for as long as... If you've opted in to give me your data, I can keep it for as long as I feel necessary to justify using your data. You can ask for it and I can give it back to you, but people don't know when they opt into things. It's all in small print, which no one reads.
Yes.
Do you think we need to educate some more on this? Because I don't think I know anything about this, about what's doing this course, so you kind of just done that presentation. But it can be painful, not dangerous, but it can be a bad thing for us.
Yeah, I mean that's why I kind of champion Google's approach. They've kind of been at the forefront of trying to teach people what it means for data, and they've been quite open and honest with what they're going to do with your data. But they also put in measures so you can protect yourself, and you can choose not to be advertised to as much. But yeah, people need to be educated with what this means for your data, because every opportunity that companies have will take. If you go onto a mailing list, that's your data being used, and by being able to access your Facebook accounts. I mean, I managed to get that just from looking at someone's Facebook account in 30 seconds. You can find out so much about people who you might not want to, but if you put a game onto your Facebook profile, they've now got access to everything you know. They know your education, your gender, everything.
Last question now.
So, from what Daddy said, who do you think is actually responsible for educating people? Is it the companies that are collecting the data? Is it the government?
I think it's all of us. I mean, we all take part. We all rely on these services. Whether it's your email, most people use Gmail, or you search for it. You've got a responsibility yourself to find out what you're doing with what people are doing with your data. I think companies such as Facebook have a lot to answer for. I think they should be amazed, especially with the way apps are being integrated into Facebook. That's a big thing because 800 million people have a Facebook account. So I think they held quite a bit of responsibility. But I think it's on the individual as well.
Okay. Thank you very much.